Hello, everybody. I did a stream earlier today with Serge, and there were a lot of technical issues. The video itself was pretty terrible as a live stream, so I thought I'd go back and edit it. Just cut out a bunch of the pauses and some of the glitches and audio issues that I had. The content was good, and I wanted to save it and make sure it got out there as a video. Hopefully, this edited version is something that's worth watching because the live stream was not. So I hope you find this informative and useful, helpful. I certainly learned a few things. We are going to do a follow-up to this at some point, and next time, hopefully, there won't be so many issues. Hopefully. All right, everybody, enjoy. Well, with me today, I have Serge, who wanted to take a few minutes. We're going to spend about an hour talking about LibreOffice Calc and going into some of the features of Calc and how to use it as a spreadsheet application, and then maybe some more of the advanced features. Serge only has about an hour today, so we're going to cover what we can and then maybe come back and follow up at some point with a longer demonstration.
First of all, I will introduce the concept in general, and then we will illustrate those concepts with specific files I did find on the web. What is a sort? So a sort, you have to imagine a set of items, and they are in a particular order. Well, a sort keeps all the elements, all the items, but presents them in a different order. The very known sorts are the ascending and descending one. Ascending, for instance, for the alphabetical order is from A to Z, and the reverse or descending order is from Z to A. And for numbers, you go from the lowest number to the highest number in ascending order, and obviously the reverse is going from the highest number to the lowest number. This is a sort. So a sort always keeps all the items but presents them in a different order. A filter introduces two concepts. First, one or several criteria, and the other one, it keeps a subset. It might be the total set, but in general, it will be a subset. So you won't have all the items, you will have only those items that are satisfying the criteria that you are going to define. So we have to take in mind that it is going to be a subset of the total set. A sort, in fact, in mathematics, is the equivalent of a permutation. You've got all the elements, you shuffle them, and they are in another order, and this is called a sort. So, Eric, could you open the file with in the title sort filter sample, please? What is a table or a list in Excel? Well, we put generally a header, the first row, the name for the column. For instance, the column A is for ID. Here, in fact, it is an integer which is increasing all the time. Then we have a column first name, obviously with a first name, the column last name with a last name, the column city, country, the gender, and age in this case. So the first row will determine the type of information we will find in the rows below this header. We can have different types of data. We can have integers, numbers, we can have text, strings, we can have dates, we can have images if we want, an object, we can have different kinds, but the most used are numbers, dates, and strings or text. This is the most often. And if you see here, we have strings for the column B to gender, and we've got an integer for the ID and for the age. So how do we do a sort? Well, for instance, if we wanted to have the country sorted in an ascending order, we would click on the letter above the column country. Could you click on that one? Okay, and you have to click on sort. There is a sub-menu sort.
Yes.
It. Okay, and now I think you are asked, you would like to extend the selection. Do you have that pop-up window?
I do.
So could you click on extend? It's a pity for the chat that they don't see it. Extend the selection. Yes, and now in principle, you will have a window when we are asked which field are you going to use as the order. And you should have, in principle, country. Do you have that?
That is correct.
Then you could click on OK. Can you click on OK? Aha, now we see in StreamYard at least. Is it on YouTube? Aha, YouTube, you can see the pop-up window, but not in StreamYard. Okay, that's not. I will see it then on YouTube. So we click OK, and now we can see that the rows are sorted according to the alphabetical order for the column country. So this is a sort. We've got all the items, all the rows we had before, but they are presented in another order. So how can we go back to the previous state? So we can either do undo, or we could go into the column ID, because the column ID was a column which had already an ascending order from 1 to 20. So you have both choices, Eric. You can do what you prefer. So either by doing undo or by clicking the column A and then doing the same, data, sort, extend the selection, and you will have the ID as the field to sort. Click OK, and then it will come back into the first as it was originally. Now we might do a reverse order. Could you click on the column which has the age? Data sort, extend the selection, age selected, and then you have to choose descending. You see, you've got ascending in a radio button next to the field. Above on the right, you've got ascending, but it must be descending. Okay, so we showed the sort. You can do it in an ascending order, in a descending order, and it is not the topic of today because we have several concepts to show, but you can do it in a custom order. So you would have to define that custom order somewhere to include that in the possible. So you have to define, to give it a name for your custom order, and then you would have the choice between the ascending, the custom, and it will be able to do a custom order. But we are not going to do this today. We might do this in the second part of LibreOffice Calc. What are we going to do now? We are going back as the original layout was. So either undo or click column A and do the sort in the ascending order. It's up to you.
I noticed there is a sort ascending option just under data.
Yes. It will be the same directly. So you see, it's always extend the selection, otherwise you might lose.
Or else you only get that first row. Okay. There we go.
Okay, so now we are back to the original order as it was. So we've shown, this was the sort. What is the filter? A filter, as I explained, you have to define one or several criteria, and then only the items corresponding to the one or the several criteria you have defined will appear on the screen. How do you do that? You click anywhere in the table. So you're in Angir Guara. You can stay there and you can click on data, and you should have a filter somewhere. Auto filter. Do you have that? Normally, there should appear in a few seconds for me a sort of little triangle next to the the name in the first row, so in the headers. You see, you've got a small triangle. So could you click, for instance, no, not there, on gender, because it will be easier to show it with gender, as there are only two genders. Could you click on the small triangle next to gender, and there you uncheck, for instance, female. So as you can see, now you have only the items with male in the gender. There is no row with female in it. And another tip, there is a small icon, a blue icon in the place of the black triangle. You had a sort of black triangle next to gender, but now you've got a sort of a blue icon in it telling you that the table is filtered. So could you click again in that? Yes. And check female. Yes. So click on the blue icon to select and to tick the checkbox for female and untick it for male. Yes, so that you can show you. Here you see you've got only the females. This is one possibility. Another possibility is to go back again. Could you click back again in the blue icon next to gender, select male, tick male, untick female, and then you have, in principle, you have a standard filter. You untick female and you go to standard filter. There is an option, standard filter. So in the second one, so you see you've got already, you have to choose on the left, you have to choose, for instance, and. Click and. In there you took the age, the field age. And in the third one, you can click on greater or equal than. And in the value, you put 40. And click OK. So, okay, you have it on the female. I would like to have it on the male. It's nothing. But here you see you've got two conditions. Only female, and from the female, only the female, so the women who are 40 years old or more. So this is, you've got two criteria. Yes, here you've got it with the male. You have the male who are older than 40 years old. But, for instance, we might choose something else. We could say that we would like to have the males, or, for instance, be it normally, if we have women living in a country or a city that a male is not in, we could show both. We could show, for instance, the male, and yes, you can add a third one, or if you go on the left, yes, or there you can choose, for instance, we could say the country. And in the condition, if you click down on the black triangle, you have normally you should have a drop-down list giving you the values that you can find for country. Could you click on that black triangle, on that field? Contains, it will be good. As the condition, country is good. The condition will be contains, and you can choose, I don't know, Portugal, for instance. And click OK. So as you can see, we have all the males, but we have also the people who are, they could be a male or a female, but living in Portugal. So we have all the males above, which are 40 years old, but also, or persons, and they can be female or male, who live in Portugal. Because you can see you've got one row with Portugal and female, and you've got one row with Portugal and male, but a male who is 32 years old, so who has less than 40 years. So this is an illustration of what automatic filters are. We could do, but as the time is flying by, we could do advanced filter, but I will leave it for the second part of LibreOffice because I still have to show conditional formatting and the pivot tables, the charts, and the subtotals. So could you clean the filters? How do you do that? You click in Ages, in the blue icon next to age, and you tick all. And you can do that in gender too, so that you will have all you should have. And so, and country, you have to tick also all. Yes, now we have all the items because we have the items from 1 to 20. So this was an illustration, a short introduction to filters. What about now conditional formatting? Conditional formatting is when some condition is satisfied in one or different cells. We want to, for instance, change the color of the cell, things like this. So I will show it with the age, because there it is rather easy to do it. Could you click from 25 in the column from 25 till the last age? Yes. Okay, this is selected. It's always interesting. But we can do it differently. So we will start, because I will show then formatting. Could you click only, it's my bad, could you click only on 25, the first cell under age? There, we need to go to conditional formatting. There is an icon normally where they say, but it's so small for me that I will tell you where it is. I think it is the last icon under on the second row, the last icon. Yes, okay. Could you click on there is a small a black triangle. Could you click next to it? It says the cell value is equal to, so it's not equal. We will say, could you change equal to into something else? And you change it to greater or equal to. Greater than or equal to. Yes, and there you put in the age, you put 40. Yes, and now you click on default. We have to apply a style. So you click on default. You click on new style, new style. Okay, and here you can give it a name. So you can say above underscore 40 as the name. You go in the tab, let us say background. There is a tab. You are in the tab organizer. You have a tab background, which is, there you have it. And there you need to add a color. You can choose the color you wish. You click on one of the colors in the palette. You click on a color, and then you can click OK. You have to click now on, there is a brush, a painting brush in the first, under the menu. you've got a brush next to paste, and then you click on all the cells below 25. Yes. Okay, and now you click outside that column, because otherwise you won't see it. You click in column H or I, and then you can see that when the age is above 40, the cell has changed. The background is now blue. You've got what we call a conditional formatting. This is a conditional formatting based on a condition, but we can do it differently. Could you undo this? This is so this was one possibility upon a condition, and you see we might have changed background, but we might have changed the color of the digits, the numbers themselves. We might change the font. We might change the size of the font. You see, we have several possibilities to change the original layout of the cell into another layout corresponding to a certain condition which is satisfied. But we can do it differently. Could you click into 25 and select all the ages from 25 to 23? And you go back again to conditional. You click on the small triangle next to the conditional formatting, and you have several options. We will take an option different. So in the same icon, the next triangle, we can say, for instance, a color scale. Yes, we want to edit. Click yes. So the format was not erased then. It's nothing. We will overwrite the existing conditional format. So, and here, you see, you can define, for instance, you can tell, so the minimum will be in red, from 50 it will be in yellow, and then it will be in green. But we can see if we can change because it is in percentile, no, we will change it in the middle. You have to change percentile into value. There you can define any value that you wish it will change. And okay, so you could apply it and see what it gives. Could you click on OK? And as you can see, now the small values are in red, and then they change color progressively to become yellow when they approach 40. And then when they go to the maximum, they are in green. So this is a second way of defining a conditional formatting. You've got 3 zones, and for each zone, and you can change the color because they gave you 3 predefined colors, but you can change them yourself. And you can also change from which value you want to change the colors. It is up to you. Select all the age, yes, right click, and right click, yes, select all the age, right clicked on the selection. You do a right click, and there you should have erased the format. Do you have something like that? Clear the direct formatting. Yes, that's it. Clear the direct formatting. And now we can click outside so that we can see that there is no colors defined, that you returned to the original format. So the time is going by, so we will go to another file, but you can see you can choose a scale, you can choose arrows, you can choose data bar. That is interesting, for instance, to show a sort of a chart within a cell. So you can play with it to see, and you have to choose what suits you best. But you've got 4 possibilities to manage that conditional formatting. So for this one, we will we will close this file, but you don't have to save the modifications. So the next file we can do is subtotals. I think there was one such file. I will see. Yes, there is one called groups subtotals in the title. So what is a subtotal? A subtotal is in fact we want to know certain sums for grouped items. We would like to know, because here you see we've got an order ID, a date, a customer, a product, and a total order. But we would like, for instance, to know what has each customer done with the different products. This could be one place. But first of all, I will show something, a tip, because could you click in the first cell under date, so the cell B2, and could you right click that cell and choose format the cell or the cells. I don't know in English how they wrote it. In French it's formater les cellules, but I think they might have done format the cells. Right click. Here you can see it is what is in blue. It is not recognized as a date, it is recognized as a text. So could you click OK? So we need to change all the dates in that file so that they are recognized as a date. And this is different from Excel. Excel can do it automatically for you. In LibreOffice, you need a sort of workaround. So could you select the cell B2 until the last one with a date in it from the column B. So from B2 to the last, to select all the cells where you have a date. Now we have selected all the dates. Could you right click on that selection and then choose date instead of text. Choose date. You have to use the one which is closer, because for me it was in for French. So but you've got the American one. So I see you. It would be better to choose almost the same as the one which is in the cell actually. So you go down until you've down, scroll down. No, this is month and day, which is not good. Because in France and in Belgium, we have month / day / year in 4 digits. We have to find, otherwise it might be annoying. But I don't know if you will find it for you.
It's not going to be in here for me.
Okay, it's not going to. So choose an American date then. So you go into the menu Edit. So. And you go to Find and Replace. Find and Replace. So, what do we need to find? And this is, we are going to use, so could you check first in the other options, regular expressions. There is a checkbox and you have to tick it. Regular expressions. Now you go into Find and you type a dot and an asterisk. A dot and asterisk. And in Replace, you put an ampersand. Okay, and you click on Replace All. There is a button. You click on it, Replace All. It's okay. You can close it. And now, if you go into the first one, so the date, if you right-click on B2, yes, right-click, Format Cells, and now you can see you've got the date. Yes, you will have the French format, but I can't do anything about it. But at least you have a real date. All the cells have been replaced not by text, but by real date. Okay, but what I wanted to show is more the concept of subtotal. Here it is because the dates were text and we had to change them. Now you could could you choose everything from order ID to the last number of order total. So you click from A1 to E, I don't know, the last record of that table. So you have to select from order ID, not A1. Yes, it is A1. Sorry, from A1. So order ID, the title has to be in also. So do you have the title also? So we have to go into data. And when you should have something like subtotals or groups and subtotals, you should have that option in that menu. Not subtotals, I see it. Under validity, you've got subtotals. Okay, so in subtotals, you will group by customer. You see, for the moment, you've got overall, you have to change with the black triangle in group by, you group by customer, and you untick, but we will tick order total. And you see, the use function is sum by default, and it is the good one. So you can click on OK. Could you scroll down a little bit so that we can see the sum, the total sum for the first customer? Because I don't see it neither on StreamYard nor on, yes, stop, now I see it. I see fish pond, and you have the sum. You see, you will have for each customer, you have the details above the fish pond sum. All is records only for him. And then we will have in bold, you have the total of all the orders he has placed. And you have this for each customer. And if you go below, completely below, normally you should have a sort of grand total. Yes, the grand sum, sorry. So the grand sum. So this is an example of a subtotal. You choose from a table, you decide to group. Here we group by customer. We would like to see, for instance, all the items corresponding to that customer, and we will have, because we have chosen the function sum, but we could change it and change the use function. So could you, for instance, could you go completely above? Now you will have buttons appearing completely above. You have 1, 2, 3 on the left. On the line where you have the letters of the column, you have at the extreme left, you've got 1, 2, and 3. So could you click on the 1, the button 1? There you see the grand sum. They also give, I think this is a bug, normally it should not appear, but you see the grand sum, and in this case, the last customer. Could you click on the button number 2? There you see all the customers, and at the end you will see the grand sum. But if you wish, for instance, for Isaac Hayes Up, you can click on the plus button, which is on the same line. Yes, could you click on the plus? And there you see all the records, all the rows corresponding to Isaac, so the product and the amount of his orders. So if you wish, you can click on plus to expand, and you can click on minus to collapse. And if you click on the button number 3, then you have all the details of all the customers. And this is an example of a subtotal. Now we can create a second group and even a third group. So we might go, in this case, for this file, it would not be very interesting, but sometimes you can go in a state. In a state, you could go to a city. From that city, you could go to the customers and their products. And then we could see by state, by city within a state, and then by customer within a state. So that would be interesting to show the different kinds of subtotals. And we can also choose another function. We are not obliged to choose sum. We can choose count. For instance, if you've got cells with alphabetical with text, for instance, then you cannot sum them, but you can count the number of cells corresponding to a particular item, for instance. Or if you've got numbers, you could show the maximum, you could show the minimum, you can show the average, and so on. You see, you've got several functions, and this is interesting to show the subtotals. Okay, I don't have much time yet, so either I can show something else on these subtotals, or do you prefer me to show, for instance, either a chart or a pivot table, because I can't do both, because there are still the database functions. So the database functions is too complicated. I will leave it for part 2, but I can show within the last 5 to 10 minutes, I can show either a chart or a pivot table. So what?
Pivot tables can be a little complicated as well. Why don't we go for the chart?
Okay, then you have to close this file and choose the one which is called, I think, charts, if I remember correctly. It is called Calc Chart Sample. This will be a very short one and a very easy one, because I have only 5 to 10 minutes left. So how do we do a chart? Well, could you choose all the cells from A2 till E6? Yes, and now you click, there should be, I don't see that icon on your, but then you can go to insert. We will go quickly here. Normally we have to go through a different, no, not a pie. Sorry, I call it pie, but we have to choose columns here. So the first one. So we have a very simple column bar chart, and we can do things. You see, now that you have selected the chart, you've got another list of icons next to chart area. You've got all new icons, which you hadn't before, because you have a chart. You are no more in the sheet Excel, you are in the object chart. Yes. Those icons allow you, for instance, I don't know which one, but there should be one where you can, if you hover over one of these icons, you will see titles. Could you click on the icon which will give you the possibility to add a title? You hover over one of these icons, and then you will see in the explanation that it is for titles. And you can give the title you want. Yeah, you can say, for instance, the title vehicle or vehicle, I don't know how you pronounce it, rental as title, and as subtitle sales 2017. And you see, you've got your titles. Now, if you select only the title, could you click on the title in your chart? If you do that one, then you can right click on that and you have format something. Yes, and there you see in you can choose the font, you can choose the transparency, and so on. You see, it is there that you can.
So basically, he just had me set the data label centered instead of above. But obviously, if we were doing this, we would want to probably change the color of the font or something so that it looked a little cleaner. But I want to thank Serge for taking the time to show us this today. We are going to come back with part 2.